On a remote island between the East China Sea and the Pacific Ocean, this 100-year-old is being honored today as an icon of longevity. At 101 years old, Hana Shinjo still takes care of her mandarin trees every day. These two women live in Okinawa, in the village of Ojimi. On the other side of the world, in California, centenarian Herb Wills keeps fit and healthy. Just like 99-year-old Alice Robbins. Sardinian Giuseppe Marino, who's 105, still tends to his vines and enjoys the fruits of his labor at every meal. And in Bayonne, France, Odette Dallas is about to celebrate her 102nd birthday. In just a few decades, the number of centenarians worldwide has risen from several hundred to hundreds of thousands. To discover the secret of their longevity, researchers are studying them in the four corners of the world. They want to find out how these men and women, who defy the laws of time, have made it to the century mark. They want to explain why our questions and fears about the limits to life and the aging of the population are focused on today's centenarians. Our journey to discover the secrets of long life begins in Japan, on the island of Okinawa, the land of the immortals. Elders are worshipped here. The Japanese live longer than anyone else on the planet. There are 40,000 centenarians in Japan, and 9 of them live in the village of Ojimi. On the outskirts of Ojimi, there's an old stone marker inscribed with the words, "At 80, you are still a child. And if at 90, someone from heaven invites you over, tell him, just go away and come back when I'm at least 100. Time expands here. It's as if the hands of the village's clocks turn differently than those in the rest of the world. 1/3 of Ojimi's 3,500 residents are over 65. In 1995, the World Health Organization declared it humanity's oldest village. The number of centenarians in Japan has doubled every decade since 1980. Some demographers estimate there could be as many as 1 million by the year 2050. But here, in Ojimi, people do not simply live to a ripe old age. They remain vigorous, healthy, and alert. It's the month of October, or to be more precise, the 9th day of the 9th month of the lunar calendar. All the members of the Komisu family, including those who live abroad, are gathering together this morning. They wouldn't miss today's special event for the world. Mrs. Komisu is 97 today. In Okinawa, this is the age where a person officially becomes a centenarian. According to the traditional calendar, followed by the Okinawans, every 12th birthday is celebrated as a significant milestone. Reaching this final milestone is seen as an achievement. It gives those who attain it the status of living icon. This celebration, which is called Kajimaya, the windmill festival, is much more than a family affair. Mrs. Komisu and her procession will parade through the streets of Ojimi and surrounding villages all day. The whole community is included in the Kajimaya ceremony. It is an immense honor for a family to show off their centenarian. As she is cheered on by the villagers, Mrs. Komisu gives some of her longevity to the community's younger members. She shares her strength with them and in return accepts the honors and congratulations befitting her status. At the end of the day, Mrs. Komisu receives an official certificate. Then her family and friends join together to celebrate the birth of this new centenarian. In Ojimi, residents over 90 years of age are given special care and support. The very elderly are registered on a list and receive regular checkups. A range of different activities is offered to them every month. With these exercise classes, which are held 4 times a week, these 90-year-olds and centenarians do not only keep fit and strong, they also cultivate the art of being together, of being happy together. And for those who don't want to or are unable to leave their homes, the discovery of a pile of old photos is an opportunity to pay them a visit. Yoshiharu Miyagi takes care of the centenarians in his neighborhood. Several times a week, he visits Anna Shinjo, a 101-year-old woman known by everyone in Ojimi as Hana-san. Hana Shinjo was born in 1910. She is the youngest and only surviving member of a family of 5 sisters. The life of this granddaughter of a warlord, disgraced when Okinawa was annexed by Japan in 1879, has been marked by suffering and poverty. As a child, she worked in the fields, then on the emperor's great building projects. In 1932, she gave birth to her son, Siriyu.
American liberators bombed Jap-held islands in the Palau. One liberator will never return.
The Battle of Okinawa in 1945 was an immense tragedy for the islanders.
The cost in human lives is appallingly heavy.
Hana Shinjo fled to the
The
mountains.
last spirit of the Japanese soldier was
She
nowhere
lived
more
through the
apparent than
fighting,
in fighting
the
for
exodus,
Okinawa.
and then starvation in American internment
Estimated
camps.
that out of 108,000 Japs on the island, 101,000 had to be wiped out before victory was achieved.
The memorial in Ojimi commemorating all those who died in the Battle of Okinawa lists the names of every member of Hana Shinjo's family. Her husband, her sisters, and her parents. Only she and her son survived. Every day, 95-year-old Yasu Togoshi visits her friend Hana Shinjo. When they first met, Hana and Yasu were 11 and 5 years old respectively. The war and the years of hardship they endured made them friends for life. Together, they carry on the tradition of moais. In Okinawan culture, a moai is a group of friends, neighbors, or relatives who get together regularly to give or receive social, emotional, and occasionally financial support. According to a major medical study begun over 30 years ago by Japanese and American researchers, very elderly people with an active social life are less prone to illness and depression. The incidence of heart disease is 5 times lower among Okinawan seniors than their North American counterparts, and they suffer less from cancer and age-related diseases such as Alzheimer's. Since 1975, Dr. Makoto Suzuki has studied the lives of 2,500 centenarians in Okinawa. All of his findings are stored here in these files.
過去35年センテナリアンのうちずっと訪問しましてね、そこで心電図、エレクトカーディオグラムとか、あるいは血液を取って調べるとか、いろんなことをやりました。その結果ですね、大きなポイントは一つ、血液の中のあるいは体の中のと言ったらいいんですか、ラジカル酸素が非常に少ない。ラジカル酸素はセミリティ、セニリティ、要するに老化を促進する物質ですね。
Free radicals are known to damage the body's cells and accelerate aging. The more you eat, the more free radicals your body produces. Can the Okinawans' longevity be attributed to their traditional diet? When they eat together, Hana Shinjo and her son make do with a simple meal of vegetables, tofu, local soya cheese, some rice, and a bit of fish or meat. In Naha, Okinawa's capital, a researcher is also studying the longevity secrets of the island centenarians. For gerontologist Craig Wilcox, the diet they have always eaten is a laboratory of preventive medicine.
Nutrition is very important throughout your life. And what we see with most of the centenarians in Okinawa is eating a traditional Okinawan diet, which is very low in caloric density, but very nutrient dense. It's kind of the ideal diet to achieve healthy aging.
The elderly villagers of Ojimi grow most of their food. In her garden, dietitian Imi-san grows goya, a native cucumber, beans and wild herbs, vegetables not found in any local grocery store. Every day, she uses this produce to make meals for the customers at her restaurant. Ironically, this diet was born of hardship.
These people have been eating a diet that's very low in caloric density, yet it's nutritionally dense. And that was a natural phenomenon. People just didn't have access to these sugar-rich and calorie-rich foods. They had access to sweet potatoes, and then green leafy vegetables, soups, a little bit of tofu in there, some healthy beans, a little bit of fish now and then, a little bit of lean meat now and then. This is the kind of diet that you want to eat if you want to live a long and healthy life and cut your risk for age-associated disease.
Many of these foods are eaten in the most natural form possible, raw or lightly cooked. They are the basis of a varied diet that's low in calories, yet highly nutritious. Imi-san offers more than tasty, well-balanced meals at her restaurant. She shares the secrets of Okinawa's centenarians with her customers. The restaurant practices the philosophy of hara hachibu. According to this Confucian-inspired adage, you must eat slowly and stop when your stomach is 80% full. Many Okinawans live by this rule and believe it is essential for a long and healthy life. Our stay in Ojimi is coming to an end. But before we go, Hana Shinjo wants to share a secret with us. We have been waiting for her grandson to arrive since 6 o'clock this morning. Hana Shinjo has visited this garden every week since she was born. She inherited the small patch of land from her father, who inherited it from his father. The garden is her and her family's pride and joy. Coming here to tend to her mandarin trees is absolutely vital for her, as she is becoming weary with age and life's trials.
Most of these centenarians in Okinawa that I've met seem to have some kind of raison d'etre. You know, they have a kind of what they call an ikigai, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. You know, when you're 100, you know, I mean, every day is a gift when you're over 100. Yet you have to view it that way. You know, if you lose the enthusiasm for living life, I mean, you're finished.
But now, in the land of the rising sun, there is a disturbing new phenomenon. Over the past several years, lifestyles have changed dramatically. With the rise of junk food and high-fat diets, the incidence of obesity and diabetes has increased threefold. Cardiovascular and cerebral diseases have risen significantly among the under 65s. But the most affected are the 20 to 40-year-olds, and the death rate in this age group has risen sharply. Today, for the first time ever, there are two very different populations in Japan. The over 65s who are going to live longer and longer, and the younger generations whose life expectancy is much shorter.
ハンバーガーライフスタイルというんですかね、オベシティがずっと続くようであればですね、これじゃミゼラブルになっちゃいますよ。今のセンテナリアンのライフスタイルっていうのは、今までですよ、トラディショナルなライフスタイルがむしろ良かったんじゃないかと思うんで、それを若いジェネレーションに教えてあげなきゃいけない。積極的に教えることができないから、でそのエグザンプルとしてセンテナリアンがいるよということだと思うんです。これは沖縄だけの問題じゃないんじゃないでしょうか。日本全体もそうだし、外国でもそうだと思いますけど、そういう意味で私はね、まだ
Cardiovascular disease and diabetes affect 1 in 10 Americans, or 30 million people, and result in 2.5 million deaths each year. An estimated 1 in 3 Americans is obese. Obesity has become the second cause of death in the United States. 75% of American children born after the year 2000 could die before they are 70. In 1975, the United States had the third highest life expectancy among the world's 12 most developed countries. In 2009, it had the lowest. But there is a place in the United States where people lead longer, healthier lives than other Americans. Loma Linda, a town 100 kilometers from Los Angeles, has 20,000 residents. A high proportion of these are over 90 years of age, and there are a dozen centenarians. This extreme longevity isn't the only thing the residents of Loma Linda have in common. They all belong to the same religious denomination. They are members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which currently has worldwide membership of 15 to 20 million. Formally established in the 19th century under the leadership of Pastor James White and his wife, Preacher Ellen White, this branch of Protestant Christianity is distinguished by its observance of Saturday as the Sabbath and a doctrine with an emphasis on health. This doctrine, created by Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, the future founder of the famous cereal brand, formed the basis of a healthcare system and was a way for the church to attract more and more members. By the start of the 20th century, the Adventists had established a presence on every continent. But the church's headquarters remained in the United States, where a number of towns, including Loma Linda, are its nerve centers. How can the Adventist doctrine influence the life expectancy of its members? Dr. Gary Frazier and his team hope to answer this question.
Today I'd like to talk a little bit about...
About 20 years ago, the doctor discovered that members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church live 5 to 11 years longer than their fellow Americans.
Is it just the social support, that they're part of a community? And we know from other research that being a part of a community, whether it's a church community or a village or some other club or society, does seem to be important. Even being married or not being married, particularly for men, seems to be important. So there could be just a social support aspect to this religion question. Or it could be much more specific than that. For instance, it could be having a faith in God, someone who's greater than yourself, someone who can perhaps protect and look over you, that this might give relief to anxiety and stress.
Alice Robbins is 99. A widow, she has lived for the past 6 years at Loma Linda Valley, an Adventist institution for the church's most elderly members. Alice chose this religion in 1928 when she met her future husband, a pastor. Her faith has never left her.
I read the Bible about the first thing in the morning. I repeat the Bible text, and I get up about 5 o'clock and I pray, and then I read the Bible till perhaps 6:15. The Bible is so important to me. And what I like about the Bible, it is so sensible. It tells us exactly how to live. For instance, in the book of Proverbs, it says there's a time to laugh and there's a time to refrain from laughing. And I like to laugh a lot. And then there's also a text, let me see. It says, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. So I like that text. I like to be merry and happy, but sensible. Good morning. Good morning, Alice. Hi. Hi, Alice. She's the other Alice. Hi, Gertrude. What, honey?
Alice has her breakfast at 6:30 every morning. Like many Adventists, she is a vegetarian. The church has always advocated a healthy lifestyle. Its members must abstain from tobacco, alcohol, meat, caffeinated drinks, and spices. Every morning for the past 80 years, Alice has eaten fruits, cereals, nuts, and grains. The only infringement of the doctrine, a glass of soya milk and a slice of wholemeal bread 2 or 3 times a week.
Yes, please.
Dr. Gary Fraser believes the Adventist dietary habits lessen the risk of heart disease and some forms of cancer, of which many Americans are victims.
That the people that are more religious are the people that are more likely to be vegetarian, more likely to be interested in their health because it's actually part of our religion, perhaps more likely to be physically active. And so it could be that the religious faith operates in part by changing behavior as well.
It's been a nice day, even though it's maybe a little rainy. Well, I'm just about a few months away from being 100, and I do praise the Lord. I think He kept me all these years. But it's not only my faith in Him, I believe in following health principles. I have followed that diet most of my life, and I think it has been a wonderful help to me.
Bend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cross 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Flap 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Herb Wills is 100 years old. This widower, father of 3, and former Bible salesman lives on his own. He only leaves his home to spend time with other members of his church and to work out at the gym.
I find that it's important to me to go over to the gymnasium 3 times a week, maybe 4. And on the diet, I feel that I am definitely blessed by staying away from certain nutrients and having a diet in another direction, such as heavily in the way of vegetarian and fruit diet. That's God's original diet for man. I believe that there's a very definite relationship between Christianity, walking in Christ's way, and longevity, provided we follow the teachings that He makes available to us. The scripture says the just shall live by faith. And of course, faith in what? One has to have faith in something. And I have faith in God.
Religion enhances our ability to make long-term choices, to stay away from the short-term gratification. People who attend church may have a greater sense of self-worth a greater sense of their capabilities that may arise from being involved in a church.
Every Saturday, Herb Wills observes the Sabbath and goes to church. According to the researchers studying the Adventists, spending time with people who share their values and habits is the main reason why there is a higher percentage of centenarians among them than among the population as a whole. The next part of our journey to discover the secrets of the centenarians takes us to Sardinia, deep in the province of Nuoro, a remote mountainous region in the northwest of the island. In the rest of the world, the vast majority of centenarians are women. But in this region, as many men as women live to be 100 years of age. This fact was discovered by Dr. Gianni Pes. According to him, the village of Filigree has the longest life expectancy and the highest proportion of elderly citizens in Sardinia.
Il comune di Villagrande ha il più elevato numero di centenari fra tutti i comuni della Sardegna. Siamo stati in grado di censire 30 centenari, di cui 4 viventi. Questo è il numero più elevato fra tutti i comuni della Sardegna, quindi si può anche dire che il comune di Villagrande detiene il primato di longevità in Sardegna e probabilmente di tutta Europa.
The 30 centenarians buried in Villagrande were all born between 1847 and 1907. The oldest, 2 women, lived to 107. The youngest, a man, died at the age of 100 on his birthday. Of these centenarians, 17 are men and 13 women, a phenomenon no one has yet been able to explain.
1882.
Could the traditional Sardinian way of life be a factor? Could it be the environment? For Dr. Gianni Pes, there are many avenues to explore, and the answers are to be found among the 4 centenarians who live in Villagrande today. At 105, Giuseppe Marino is the oldest among them.
Mia moglie è morta a 101 anni. C'è stato sempre l'amore e la pace in famiglia. E quindi mia moglie è morta, eravamo quasi 73 anni assieme. E ho avuto 4 figli. Di 4 figli ho 34 pronipoti, 36 nipoti. Difatti questa qui è stato per esempio il pranzo che abbiamo fatto dopo il centenario mio e suo, e l'abbiamo fatto all'albergo qui a Villanova stesso, e abbiamo invitato tutta la famiglia ed eravamo sulle 75.
Freddo. Permesso, buonasera. Signor Murino, come sta? Mi fa piacere.
Gianni Pes and his assistant have been visiting Mr. Marino regularly for the past 6 months.
Bene.
Aspettavo.
Siamo venuti qui per farle un'intervista per capire quali sono i segreti della vita lunga.
È da molto che non prende una pressione.
No, è una pressione, misura per esempio.
Va benissimo la pressione. È perfetta. Le ha sempre così.
No, è 70. No?
È 122,80. 80,
Però,
sì.
eccezionale.
Veramente. Ha la pressione di un trentenne, lei.
Ascolti, signor Murino, innanzitutto, dove è nato?
Alla Rosì, 8-5-1906.
Ascolti, che lavoro ha fatto nella sua vita?
E lavoro facevo da tutto, contadino, pastore,
Anche il pastore ha fatto.
Il pastore cosa vuole? Il pastore, per esempio, in paese però, in paese perché c'aveva un branco di capre.
Camminava molto?
Camminare sì, camminava.
Quanti chilometri faceva al giorno, più o meno?
Al giorno cosa vuole? Si camminava.
Giuseppe Marino and the 200 other Sardinian centenarians that Gianni Pes has met since he began his investigation all worked as shepherds. Shepherding involves intense physical work.
Quindi quando, per esempio,
Gianni Pes believes another element plays an important role: isolation. It has meant certain traditions have been preserved and favored a simple, healthy lifestyle, enabling residents to live longer and in good health. While researching at Villacrande Town Hall, Gianni Pes made another discovery that is even more astonishing than Sardinian longevity itself.
1882, aspetta
Stiamo cercando Agus Maria Grazia.
Ancora. 30, giriamo ancora. 33, 34.
35. Allora, Agus Maria Grazia.
Sì, Agus Maria Grazia, proprio questo. Quindi,
allora, leggiamo. L'anno 1882, a D 12 novembre.
Agus Maria Grazia was born in 1778. She is the oldest centenarian found so far in Sardinia. This information is crucial. It proves that the tradition of reaching 100 years of age goes back several centuries and could well be hereditary.
È molto importante innanzitutto la storia passata della popolazione. Lo studio dei registri di stato civile è utilissimo perché attraverso questi registri è possibile ricostruire quelli che sono i legami di parentela anche tra i centenari, perché è anche possibile che questi centenari siano in qualche modo imparentati tra di loro.
According to Gianni Pes, the Sardinians have turned their unique history and isolation to their advantage. The first people to settle the island about 10,000 years ago became genetic incubators, amplifying certain traits over generations. Even today, 75% of them are directly related to the first Sardinians. What if they had a genetic predisposition to longevity? At the laboratory in Lanusei, 30 kilometers from Villagrande, scientists are trying to establish the hereditary basis of this longevity. Over the past year, they have studied 6,000 people aged between 16 and 104 who live in 4 neighboring villages. The first results have revealed that the probability of a relative or a centenarian also becoming a centenarian is about 40% higher than for an individual chosen at random from the population. Over half of Sardinian centenarians have a 90-year-old brother or sister, and at least one of their parents lived to the age of 90. But for Professor Francesco Cucca, the secret of Sardinian longevity lies in the combination of a number of ideal factors, such as lifestyle and environment. Genes are only part of the story.
Non esiste un gene della longevità, probabilmente esistono più geni che ti danno una predisposizione per vivere più a lungo e in più ci sono altri geni che in qualche modo ti proteggono da malattie comuni, quindi può essere, è una condizione appunto causata da un insieme di geni favorevoli, alcuni più specifici per la longevità, altri in quanto fattori protettivi per cause importanti di mortalità.
How have centenarians reached this symbolic line after the marathon of life? Was everything decided in the first few kilometers? Or rather at the end of the race, when all the other runners had withdrawn? Philippe Emmanuel, director of the Public Health Unit at the Institut Pasteur de Lille, sees centenarians as an ideal example of aging. they do not have, or show few signs of, common age-related diseases, such as Alzheimer's.
Les gens qui deviennent centenaires ne deviennent jamais par hasard. Pour vivre longtemps, il y a deux éléments qui sont importants. Vous savez que c'est à la fois notre terrain génétique et nos comportements qui sont à l'origine de la plupart des maladies aujourd'hui. Ces éléments génétiques qui définissent notre terrain n'ont de sens que par rapport à l'environnement dans lequel on vit. Ainsi, un gène de prédisposition à une maladie donnée, si nous mettons en œuvre un certain nombre de mesures d'environnement destinées à contrebalancer son effet, ne s'exprimera pas et vous ne ferez pas cette maladie. Inversement, si vous ne savez pas que vous avez ce gène, que vous avez un comportement qu'on qualifie de à risque, à ce moment-là, vous aurez plus de risques malheureusement de développer cette maladie.
Researchers are particularly interested in one of these genes, the ApoE gene. Depending on its form in the genome, ApoE influences the risk of Alzheimer's disease. One variant increases an individual's risk of developing the disease, while another reduces this risk. Following several studies, researchers have made an astonishing discovery. The majority of centenarians have the protective form of the gene.
Donc sur le Manhattan Plot qu'on avait la dernière fois, on sait que
now, teams from the Institut Pasteur, working with other international laboratories, want to compare the genetic makeup of 20,000 Alzheimer patients with that of 50,000 randomly chosen control subjects.
Donc dans le cadre de l'imputation, et je pense que dans un mois ou deux, on peut espérer avoir caractérisé une dizaine de nouveaux gènes de la maladie d'Alzheimer.
Et tout le travail aujourd'hui consiste à comprendre quel est ce terrain génétique. Pourquoi ? Parce que essentiellement, à partir de ces nouveaux gènes, on trouve de nouvelles hypothèses. Et quand on a des hypothèses, on peut chercher des médicaments, on peut chercher des traitements, on peut chercher de nouveaux outils pour lutter contre cette maladie.
Will genetics enable us, for the first time in the history of humanity, to combat the negative effects of some genes and increase our lifespan? As for longevity, research on animals has already provided some spectacular results. At the French National Center for Scientific Research in Toulouse, biologist Eric Lebourg has increased the lifespan of flies by 20% by subjecting them to changes in temperature or gravity. Living longer thanks to science is a dream for some and a nightmare for others.
Le but de la recherche sur le vieillissement, c'est pas d'obtenir que les gens vivent 120, 130 ou 140 ans, en admettant que ça soit possible, ce que je ne crois pas. C'est d'obtenir que les gens vivent le plus longtemps possible, dans le meilleur état de santé possible. Si demain, toutes les personnes qui vivent autour de nous vivaient, admettons, 90 ans, et n'avaient qu'une période extrêmement brève de leur vie, où ils sont vraiment en très mauvaise santé avant de mourir, ma foi, on aurait bien travaillé. Si on vit jusqu'à 90 ans en pleine forme et puis qu'on meurt d'un seul coup, ou à 95 ans, c'est une vie qui valait vraiment le coup. Mais vivre jusqu'à 90 ans en bonne santé et puis végéter jusqu'à 120 ans, qui vraiment en a envie?
C'est le truc.
In Bayonne, France, in the Larcher household, no one is afraid of growing old. Tomorrow, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and friends will be getting together to celebrate the 102nd birthday of their Mamie Note. Mamie Note is the nickname of Odette Dallas, who was born in Auch on October the 29th, 1908.
Je me fais belle, je me mets mes bijoux, je fais tout ce que je peux pour rester un petit peu convenable. C'est important parce que c'est toute la famille qui vient et des amis, voilà. J'ai une vie très occupée en plus. Je suis seule à la maison, mais le matin, en principe, je fais de la couture. Après, il faut que je fasse de la cuisine. Après, l'après-midi, je fais un petit peu la sieste. Par la suite, je recommence. Toujours quelque chose à faire. Je pensais la forme, je l'ai toujours eue, et voilà, je l'ai gardée encore jusqu'à présent. On verra. À l'âge, ça m'est égal. Là, je n'y pense pas. Je n'y pense pas. On verra, on verra. Non, je n'y pense pas quand ça voudra. Non, surtout, je voudrais rester indépendante, si l'on peut dire, quand même. Voilà. C'est la seule chose que je souhaite. Actuellement, pour moi, la vie est beaucoup plus difficile maintenant, si l'on peut dire. L'ordinateur, moi, je ne sais pas faire, c'est pas me servir de l'ordinateur. Alors, bon, j'ai une maison à Auch, mais je reçois des factures, tout ça, payées par ordinateur. Moi, je suis incapable. Et je ne veux pas faire d'efforts non plus pour le faire, à mon âge. On a l'habitude. Déjà, je me suis pas tellement habituée vite aux euros, du fait que, étant dans une famille, ne faisant plus presque de commission, ça devient difficile, quoi, voilà. Alors, le modernisme, il va vite.
Odette Dallas belongs to the French Centenarians Club, a club whose membership continues to grow. On January the 1st, 2010, there were 15,000 centenarians in France. It now has the second highest life expectancy in the world. In 1900, there were just 100 centenarians in France, and the average age of death was 45. Now, thanks to improvements in hygiene, working conditions, health care, and living standards in general, life expectancy is 79 for men and 84 for women. France has the most centenarians in the world after Japan.
Le gros bébé, là, quand je l'avais, il était sage, il roupillait.
Il est grand temps de te poser, un vent de fête aujourd'hui à souffler ici. Car c'est un jour peu ordinaire, ô toi la douce centenaire, tu vas devoir souffler d'un coup des cents de bougies.
The birthdays of Odette's childhood are a distant memory, and she is no longer excited about being a year older. But surrounded by friends and family, she enjoys every second and feels pride in growing older. Which age is Odette really from? At 102, how does she manage to fit into an era in which she hardly participates anymore, or from a great distance? For demographer Jean-Marie Roblin, the most urgent question is not how to reach the age of 100, but what to do when you are.
La proportion des personnes âgées au sein de la population est de plus en plus grande. Ça, c'est le vieillissement démographique. Mais la grande nouveauté, ce qui n'avait pas du tout été perçu, c'est que les personnes âgées qui sont de plus en plus nombreuses, elles-mêmes vivent de plus en plus longtemps. Et donc, rentrent finalement dans une nouvelle tranche de vie. Et c'est difficile d'en parler. On ne sait pas, est-ce qu'on doit parler du quatrième âge? Est-ce qu'on doit parler... De quoi doit-on parler? Vivre centenaire n'a jamais été conceptualisé dans aucune société. Rien n'est organisé. Tout repose sur une société en trois âges. Il y a les enfants à l'école, il y a les adultes qui travaillent et il y a les personnes âgées qui passent quelques années en retraite. Et là, la grande majorité de la population va vivre demain au-delà de 90 ou de 100 ans.
By 2050, there could be between 200,000 and 400,000 centenarians in France. Are we ready to face the challenge posed by the longevity revolution that is already underway? The issues of increased longevity and the aging of the population must be addressed as a matter of urgency to better prepare for the future. Together with other international laboratories, the Demography and Health team at the French National Institute of Health and Medical Research in Montpellier is working on a new study to better anticipate the health, social, and economic consequences of the huge increase in centenarians. For the first time ever, researchers are going to attempt to precisely measure their state of health and analyze how society integrates them.
Je crois que le vieillissement réussi, c'est la personne âgée qui a réussi à conserver du sens à son existence. Et ça, c'est la plus grande difficulté quand on arrive à un grand âge, c'est d'arriver à continuer à trouver du sens dans sa vie quotidienne. Et aujourd'hui, si beaucoup de personnes âgées, parce que le taux, on n'en parle jamais, mais le taux de personnes âgées de plus de 85 ans est très important, hein. En taux, c'est les personnes qui suivent plus aujourd'hui en France. Donc, c'est qu'il y a quand même un vrai problème de qualité de vie et de sens de la vie au grand âge. Et ça vient de ça, je pense que le vieillissement qui n'est pas réussi, c'est les gens qui ont cette perte de sens, c'est-à-dire je ne sers plus à rien dans la société.
Even though many secrets remain, today's centenarians are challenging our notion of old age. This takes two forms. Wisdom symbolized by white hair, and the idea, still fixed in many people's minds, of physical deterioration and mental decline. Today, in France, many experts believe 1 in 2 girls born after 2005 will become a centenarian. This theory could become reality if life expectancy continues to increase. But is it really desirable? Some centenarians have proved it's possible to grow old well. In this respect, they are invaluable, as they are the first to experience a century of life in modern society. They are the vanguard, the pioneers of a revolution of which our children and grandchildren will be the protagonists.